Can you believe we have a new week of Webisodes and new projects and new techniques all together?
We have two great new cutting dies. They're very intricate, they're lots of fun, and Anne is going to show us lots of new ways to use them.
Right, so come play with us. Well, here are the new 2 sets of cutting dies.
Right, we have layering frames and 12 flower frenzy.
And we're going to explore them separately.
Right.
So we'll start with the frenzy, don't you
Right,
think? Okay,
right.
So we've got Anne and a frenzy, that works together. This is 12 pieces, as you can see, lots of goodies.
Right, there are 12 pieces. You actually can make 8 different size flowers, and then you have all the accoutrements that go with that.
Oh, wasn't that fancy? And here is the idea on the back of the package. So that comes to you, just a really nice way to kind of kickstart everything for you.
I can show you a little of what those look like if you cut them out. So there are 2 different leaf designs. One has a 3 and a 2, and there are separate little leaves and another scroll. I love the flowers, and this one in particular. 2 of the flower die cuts, when you cut through one piece of cardstock, you get 2 pieces. You get a center and an outer. One of the flowers I didn't get on here to show you, but this one is great too because you can fold up the edges, and you'll see a little of that being done.
And this is the one that you forgot to cut out, but that's the
so
one
there's that one too.
Makes 2 also.
And they range from 3/4 inch to 2 inch wide, so they're tiny, but it just makes them lots of fun.
Yes, and let's start with the projects because that makes it lots of fun. This is perfect. Absolutely perfect. And this is a great way to show that outline you were talking about.
Right.
And Anne used the suede, the pink suede and the black suede, and then she just kind of did this flurry on top of her card.
And she stacked them and mixed and matched the colors, and then just put a black jewel dazzle on the center. What a simple idea. Yes. I especially like that she goes off the edges like up here, and then you just cut it off even with the card.
And this is strictly with the flowers, and some dazzles right down there, and then on the inside just a few more with another, and with the dot it's just quite perfect.
It is beautiful. It's very simple. Yeah, the bow.
The dot bow is really fun too. So that's a great beginning. I mean, just kind of to get your feet wet. I love the fact of using specialty paper because that's gorgeous. And so there's what the pink and the black look like.
They make such a nice impact. It's got that nice texture to it. You can really see it on the pink here, but the black is just, you know, it gives you a nice pow.
So you can pet your cards. Is that what we're saying? Okay.
People need that.
Now this is quite a dramatically different look, and I love the black pieces. And you wouldn't necessarily, well, I guess I wouldn't necessarily think of leaves in black, but look how gorgeous that is.
It is beautiful, and what I love is the shine. I mean, you can see some of the shine, and when I first saw that, I thought that she die cut those out of like Shine Design or something like that, but she didn't. She embossed them.
Oh, okay. And that's actually kind of interesting because these are very fine.
Right.
And to emboss those would not be the next normal step I would take.
It's not the first thing that you would think of, but there it is, and I want to kind of show you how that's done.
Which is why we have weeks of Webisodes, huh?
I was looking, I couldn't find my little X-Acto knife. If you have the little pop-up, there we go. That one. This is makes it easy to hold it when we're doing this. So what I'm going to do is I've got this, it's actually cut out from the Rhapsody papers, the black pattern paper, and I've got the Versamark, and I'm just going to Versamark that little piece there. And see, I made it disappear. Just make sure that you've got the Versamark all over it. And make sure that I don't miss. I'll turn around and get that other piece there. That ought to do it. So I've got Versamark on that tiny little piece. Then I'm going to move it on something so that I can put embossing powder, and it's just the black superfine embossing powder, but it's really fine, so it goes on and makes nice coverage.
Now, even though you've got that on black paper, the black superfine is going to coat that.
It's going to coat it. I mean, yeah, it was black already, but now it's going to be shiny. So that's just, you know, a way of doing it. Right. Now let's see.
So you unbury it.
I'm going to unbury it. I'm going to try not to knock off any of the embossing powder, so I'll try to hold it on the edges and tap it off.
Want me to take that away?
Yeah, that would be great. Now I've got that, and I've got my heat gun. So the reason I was using or wanting the knife here was to hold it in place. You can also use tweezers, but that's just a...
Oh, so it won't go flying as when you turn that on.
So there we go. I don't want my fingers that close to it when I'm heating it.
Yeah, because that does get up to 300 degrees, and that would hurt. Now that's melting just right away.
Yeah, it's just, I want to make sure I'm getting the ends there, and there we are done.
Ta-da. So you can see the shine. How pretty. It almost looks like patent leather. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
It's just beautiful. I wanted to mention that I keep calling this an X-Acto knife. It's actually a retractable pen knife.
Right.
And I fail to remember that, but it's really great, especially if you have kids, because you can do this, you can do all of your stuff, and then you can do that and put it away. And we've got that at Paper Wishes.
Yes, we do. So here is the piece. So you notice the black, the leaves, the swirls, and then the layering of the flowers. And as we get in just a little closer, you can see the variety. This is the Rhapsody.
Right.
And just how lovely they look.
Right.
And you talked about lifting up the petals.
Right. So some of them have these cut areas that are just, they're not cut all the way through the entire flower. It's just on parts of it. And you can curl them up. You can curl the outside layer up. Here's that outer shadow that was cut and embossed separately and set on there. So just a little foam tape, and that stacks them up nicely.
Really nice. And then I think this is the platinum jewel dazzles.
That looks right. Or the white. I think
the white?
it's the white. Yeah,
Okay.
platinum's kind of a silver, I think.
Okay, so the white.
Yeah.
And more dazzles, a little tag right in there. So I love the cluster. And by adding the leaves and the swirls, you can make it even larger. And so, you know, when you want that, that's really nice to have.
And it's nice that you can, you know, part of the leaf gets cut out. So in this example, you're seeing right through it. You're going to see it differently in another example.
And here's the inside, just a beautiful, beautiful look.
And a nice little spray at one end of it.
Yeah.
And those are the tiny tags and little labels, I think, template.
Okay.
I think.
That looks like it.
Okay.
Now we're going to take yet a completely different look. And this is the center step card. And that is available as a die-cut card.
Right.
As of this moment, there is no template. What does she mean by that?
But they do come in a package, and which is, I think, right here, if I'm not mistaken.
You mean right where you're pointing? Right here on my table?
And there
we go.
Right, and it also has the pattern so that you can cut pattern papers. I think this one was pretty well covered. I'm not sure that the patterns were used. I think it was covered with paper. And this is the honeysuckle paper. You've got this beautiful gray on there as a backdrop, and those bright pinks and greens. It's just beautiful.
I would normally think of doing the flower cluster in the center area where Anne has done her stamping and added her message, but I love how she's got them again going off the edge down at the bottom.
Right.
And I'm, in addition to the rhinestones, and these are the Want to Scrap rhinestones.
The bling, right?
Yeah,
just beautiful.
Right. But she also has added some shine.
She has, and that's with the Wink of Stella in this light green. Let's see, I'll show you that. Sort of, it looks like this. The Wink of Stella, it's a brush pen, and it applies this ink with this really glittery stuff. I kind of like to show you first how she backed those leaves, and then I'll show you the Wink of Stella. So I've got the leaves here, some of which are already done. So when you cut these out, you remember that you can see through them, but Anne backed just the leaf portion of the ones that she wanted to cover. That's really pretty simple to do. You just put a little glue right on that leaf. So I'm just going to do it right on the leaf, the part that I want to back. And then I'm going to stick that onto the gray paper, just like
Kind of like backing a dazzle.
Right, like backing a dazzle, but you're just going to do it on paper, and then you just cut around the edges of that. So it doesn't take very long. It's a nice little effect. Also, I found that if you want to, you can cut this twice. You could cut it out of green, and you could cut it out of gray, and then save those inner cutout pieces and just inlay them right back into that die cut that you created.
Now I notice on the die cuts there is a single leaf. Now would that fit underneath that one?
You know, I didn't test that. That's a good idea.
That's because we don't rehearse this, huh, Gail?
Just stay right there, and I'm going to grab them. If they do, that would be super cool. And maybe that's what Anne did, too. I didn't check that.
Okay.
I assumed she backed it. So I'm going to put that right on Check that out.
Yeah, it would fit.
Yeah, that's
Yay.
it. So maybe that's what she did, which is even easier. You don't have to cut it out. Darn it. I didn't think of that. Okay, there we go.
That's why we're a team, dear.
Oh, thank you. So now I've got the Wink of Stella pen, and you're going to shake that up before you use it.
Now these pens come in sets of 3, and there are a few that come individually.
Individual. This is one of them.
Right. There's also a gold and a silver and a clear that comes individually.
I'm going to go ahead and test it, and then we just color in that gray part.
Now you're putting the green on top of the gray. Interesting.
Yeah, put the green on top of the gray. She came up with this really unique color when she did that. I just thought that was, it took me a while to figure it out, having not looked at the instructions, which is probably what I should have done. And
you mean like what we tell everybody else to do? Ah.
So there it is. And look at all that glitter. It's just a small thing, but it adds so much.
And it stays that way even when it's dry. Okay, so going back to our finished card, I love the colors. That green is such a pop of brightness, the rhinestones, and then on the inside, she elected to just have some flat flowers. I love this one popped out of the honeycomb, and so she had plenty of room to write her message.
Up in the corners, etc. And even on the green paper, she just ran the Wink of Stella over those two to get just a little more glimmer.
Boy, it really does shine, doesn't it? Very, very pretty. Such amazingly different looks. And speaking of which, here we have yet another.
So this is beautiful. It's a window card using the unforgettable papers and die cut. So you've got this big die cut window, and Anne did some embossing on the heat resistant acetate.
So this is, all of this is done on the heat resistant, and that's just been such a popular one.
Right.
But look how adding onto that giant die cut. Now, if you have a cutting die, that's going to work too. But nice to have the die cut and to be able to just add those flowers in just whatever color you want.
Which I'm sure she took that little leaf and backed it with another one.
You're not going to forget that, are you?
No, I'm not.
And some stickles in the center, and just to add more shine.
I kind of like to show you. These are some of our newer colors in stickles and in liquid pearls. They're just beautiful. We have some beautiful new stickles colors. You really should get online and check out all the different colors. This one is waterfall, and this one is hydrangea. I like it just for the name. And here's a couple of the little flowers, and so you just take the liquid pearls. What I liked about what she did is that she just made this dot right in the center, and sometimes it's hard to get a dot that doesn't come up and leave like a tail, so I wanted to show you what I do to accomplish that. Let's see if I can make it so you can see it. I try to do straight up and down, which is going to be hard for you to see, but I'm going to try to turn it. So I'll go around in a circle. Let's see if you can see that. And when instead of making a tail, I just try to wrap it around so that it doesn't make a point. There we go.
Oh, and then you really get a rounded.
Then you get a rounded, edge, and that's what Anne did with some of them, and then with the waterfall stickles, she just used that with the same effect right in the center. It's so pretty. That's a little easier to come off with just around. Isn't that neat? They really let it bubble up, and it makes an impact.
Now, right here in the center of the flowers, first of all, she used the Zing embossing powder. This is the leaf. And then she used the liquid pearl right in the center of one of the butterflies, or two of the butterflies, to make little bodies. So in addition to the stickles, the liquid pearls, and that's the same process that you just did with the swirling. So this has, although it has the heat-resistant acetate, it has been backed with the, so it's not a window. Could have been, but it's not.
It's just a window in the die cut.
Right, and then in the inside of her cards, this is a die cut from the Unforgettable. More of the flowers, more stickles, and liquid pearls.
But there's just a few little pieces there, and it's just so beautiful. It frames things nicely, having small details like that.
And speaking of beautiful, look at this scrapbook page. So
it's gorgeous. Wow. That is wow. And that's done with some very specific papers and those die cuts.
This is the pearl. It is a white pearl, but as you can see, it's going to reflect, well, let me show you the scrapbook page. It's going to reflect the colors around it. And it is just exquisite.
It's beautiful. It's got a texture to it. You can feel that you can see that in there. It looks embossed, and it's a gorgeous look. And she just alternated them with white cardstock, and she cupped the leaves up. So I'm sure she just used her fingers and sort of rolled it up like that,
Right.
the edges
And
of those flowers.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do love the white, kind of the flat white with the
Right.
cardstock, and then the white pearl. Now, this pearl is in 12 by 12 sheets, and it is not adhesive. There are
Right.
some other pearl sheets we'll show you in a little bit that are adhesive, but these are not, which is really good because of being able to lift these up. You
And
wouldn't-
really, this went a long way because she combined it with the Unforgettable papers. She was just able to do the details with it. So the only thing it almost matches her dress even in that black and white
Right.
photo. That's just beautiful.
And I do have to tell you, no, that wasn't Anne's wedding. So
No.
there was no band playing, just in our minds.
So just beautiful, and balancing by doing it on opposite corners, a few here to just sort of cascade down.
I think you can, through your, you can be thinking about, gee, all the ways you could use those swirling flowers.
And it's great. What you do is you cut them all out. So here you have this handful of flowers, and you just start arranging them and go, oh, there, that's the way I like it. And then you pick up one at a time and zot it down or glue it down.
And this little technique, Anne has cut along the edge of the paper, then slipped in her matted photo, so that butterfly kind of flutters onto her mat. So it's a nice look.
Without having to add anything else that's
Yeah.
already on the paper for you.
Okay, we've done a great job, Anne's done a great job of flowers. Let's now go to our layering frames.
So there are several different elements here. You've got this outer frame which measures 4 1/4 inch square, and it is just covered with fine detail. And it will cut the outer frame with all of this detail as well as an inner piece. So I'm going to show you the elements that it cuts there, but also you get a couple of beautiful brackets and swirls and a label. And so these are the pieces. So here are the swirls, this big long swirl. There's a long fine one. This one's a little bit smaller. So they make great brackets and underlying things underneath words, etc. And then you have a small label here, and that's just beautiful. This has all been done in suede. On this piece, so there's that large cutting die. If you cut it out of one piece of paper, it would cut all of this at once. You would get that large label, and then you would get this very delicate outer frame.
But what is nice about it is in fact, on the back of the package, it's going to show you this card. And I think this is one of those tools that you can do so many things with.
Right.
So to begin, taking the frame and then letting that bracket, cutting it twice, go at the top and the bottom and the top, and then using the solid label just to hold your greeting. And it just expands it and is just perfect, just beautiful.
It is, it's just beautiful. There's just a little bit of inking done on the outer edge of that, and makes it looks like the frame is sitting up above it. And then on the die cuts as well.
And on the inside, this is the other swirl. Again at the bottom, there's that solid label, and again at the top. So it just adds a really nice finishing touch. Okay, step one with it. Now, step two, how about doing some special things? Now this is
a window that it's got stuff inside of it. So if you shake it, you're going to get there. You're going to get the snow going around.
Snow. Okay.
So this was done also with the heat-resistant acetate and those pearlized sheets that we showed you. So
that's
here's
the white pearl again.
The white pearl sheets, and so here's the frame outside, and then a little bit of embossing was done right on there.
And you'll notice that the ice skate goes one way. Well, Anne has it on both ways. Well, the way she did that was to heat emboss one on the front of the acetate and the other one on the back of the acetate.
What a great idea.
So it turns it over. So very fun.
But I love that within this, if I turn it sideways here, you're going to see the depth here. Within this, she put a foam tape frame all the way around the edges of this and encapsulated the encrusted jewels that are in there. So you're seeing mica flakes, etc.
These are the white encrusted jewels, right?
Right.
And this is from Stampendous, so it's going to have the, it has embossing powder in it.
It also has mica flakes, it has glitter, tinsel, lots of little elements that just make a great look. I've done things in a shaker before, but I hadn't thought of using that, so that was a really neat idea.
It's beautiful.
And that's on the Christmas cheer, chalkboard cheer, Christmas cheer.
And then on the inside, she let those encrusted jewels just kind of flutter down here.
Right, and she went ahead and embossed them in place there.
Right, and this is that centerpiece that you showed out of black. It's been matted on the pearl, and then a pearl piece at the top. So like the wedding that was done with the white, the snowy with the white pearl just works beautifully. I think that's such a good idea, doing it reversed. Now here is another way that you can layer these, and this has got the swirls done in several different ways.
So it has the swirls done with mirror sheets, and these are adhesive backed, or self-adhesive, so that it's got a covering on the back that you can use.
Shall I bring these in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it comes in a package like that.
Yeah, there's a set of 8, right? And they're self-adhesive. These and the pearl we brought in from Holland, and so Paper Wish is the only place you're going to get them.
Awesome.
And they come in a package, and these are self-adhesive. So this size is self-adhesive. It comes one each of all these colors.
Right. So what Anne mentioned about these is to use these in the die cut machine. She felt that it needed just a little bit more shimming to be able to get the cut right. I've done it without doing the shimming, and it works pretty good. You can get everything off of there, but if you want it to come out super easily, you can opt to use metal sheets, and she chose to put the cutting die in between 2 sheets of flashing, and just you can also that's an embossing plate basically, and so to get a nice fine cut. I've been able to do it without it, but she said for her it worked better. So maybe it's different on different machines.
And by the way, if you didn't see the webisode where we talked about that, those are pieces of metal. It's called flashing. You get them in the hardware store. They're like 60 cents.
Right.
Something like that, right?
I think we used them on the Shimmer Sheets webisode.
Yeah,
so if you
I think we did.
Possibly.
Okay, so going back here, we have the heat-resistant acetate.
Right, and that's done with the Naughty and Nice stamp set. And
and that's the Naughty and Nice, which is our current favorite.
Right.
And this is the Zing embossing powder.
Red glitter Zing.
If you don't believe, you won't receive, just telling you early. And so this is the smaller of the swirl, and then the larger of the swirl on top of the square.
Right.
So it's just adding such a beautiful look.
It is. It's kind of hard to see just from the top, but she did foam tape just around the frame. She backed the frame on green, but down below there is the green is way down below. All of this frame is foam taped up above it, and then there's this window just hovering above. Just a really neat look.
And on the inside,
that's cute.
Wow!
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's awesome.
So same colors, same pieces, just done differently, and that's what I love, is that the variety that you can do with these, and you can stamp on them as she has done.
So in this case, it's not backed with anything. It's just sitting on the paper, and it's beautiful. I love the fine detail in these cutting dies.
Yeah. Very, very nice. Now, speaking of Naughty and Nice and the acetate, looks like that was a favorite of hers. What she has done is to use the acetate for the front of her card. And this is the swirl again. Oh, this is out of the other acetate pearl, right?
Not acetate pearl, but
excuse me.
Yeah, the pearl sheets. You're correct.
Self-adhesive.
Self-adhesive.
Yes. So these pearl sheets are self-adhesive. They've got glue on the back, and they come with 6 sheets. They're with gold and silver. And these are, I think they're 8 by 9 inch sheets.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And so many of these little swirls were cut and just arranged around in a wreath around this embossed piece of heat-resistant acetate. So she just embossed it in white.
And so some of the snowflakes down there, because you do get the messages, but you also get some other pieces. And then she's made a window where she die cut to see the patchwork on the inside.
Which is a cute idea. I really like that. You know, the ribbon is kind of interesting too, because that comes from the Christmas Cheer ribbon set.
It does.
And that is something that was made just for us. It's a very special thing.
It is. It's a velvet that has glitter, and the glitter does not come come off. So it's just gorgeous. Now we have a scrapbook page that is also just gorgeous. Look at this. And it's just a wonderful way to use, and we'll get in closer so you can see, but it's a wonderful way to use a variety of these. So there are our squares, as you can see on both.
Right, you've got the label in here that's been journaled on. I love this, the initials here. And then 2 of the swirls back to back.
Right. And then up here, this photograph was larger, so the pieces of the frame were just simply cut and brought over to the corner.
And so you've got instant corners.
Yes, and instant gorgeous corners.
Yeah, and you can frame anything with whatever size photo you need with that. I also love that the center label that gets cut out was cut out on yellow and white, and then it was just offset, so it makes an instant matte, at least on one side, and that's still a beautiful look.
It does. Really, really nice. Very, very pretty. And then with the petaloo flowers in the center, just a beautiful piece. We have one last card, and this again is another mixture. So there's that center piece with the swirls on top and underneath. So just making a whole variety of frame upon frame.
Right, and those are the same swirls. They're just placed at an angle on those corners, or straight up and down, or sideways here. That was embossed, by the way, in the center with the zing. Let's see, this one is the powder. That's the actual name of the color is powder. So that's just a really pretty look there on the center.
So very, very pretty on the inside. Taking, again, just like was done for the large photograph, taking that square and cutting it into corners, but just doing top and bottom around the center area. So it's just, I think, a wonderful kind of toolkit that you get. That's as you play with it, you're going to have fun with it.
It's fun to play with it and find lots of different ways of using all of those tiny little dies.
And one little tip, the Flower Frenzy is going to have some stamps that coordinate, but that's going to be 2015.
Wonderful.
So just wanted you to know that in case you wanted to just be aware.
Right, and we'll see you tomorrow for day 2 of Anne's Fall Wow Week of Webisodes.